Hi, I'm Steve Savant, National Marketing Spokesman for Creative One.
And I'm Clifford Blodgett, Director of Digital Marketing and Lead Generation for Creative One.
Today, we're talking about the 11 emerging digital marketing trends for financial services. When I think about the word emerging, well, at least it's new to our services, right?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of the strategies we'll go over today are not, that they're status quo in other fields. So, in some of the other verticals that I've worked in the past, we just, these were pieces there. The insurance field kind of lags a little bit behind that, but these are a lot of like nice pieces that we definitely implement into a business that would get that, insurance agent or that financial professional to that next level.
Well, when we're talking about using these emerging marketing trends, I like this idea about collecting and using marketing analytics to kind of see, is it working or not?
What we're doing is we're creating channels for the agent to work through. So if it's sending an email with a specific call to action, or download my complimentary guide, we're creating an advertisement with an action behind it. So these channels, and essentially what we're doing is we're building market analytics for that person. So it's not just this person's interested in my business or coming in for an appointment. This person has a question about their 401k. This person has a question about their Social Security maximization or whatever. So when the agent gets to that point, they have a little bit more than just a broad blanket, brand message about their services. They know what that person's pain point is and how they can help it, and they've usually addressed that already.
Another one we're talking about today is creating market segmentation and buyer persona. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, the question that we ask is, who do you want to see walk through your front door? So we create these fictional like personas or buyer segments from that. If I'm looking for, people that are maximizing their Social Security, might be 55 to 65-year-old person who has questions about retirement income. We're talking about, same demographics. Life insurance is completely open. It could be, people that have huge life changes in the past. So it could be anyone from 25 to 75. Really. So it's like, who do you want to see walk through your front door? And then beyond that is, we now know the messaging to get them and to draw on that pain point. But how are you going to interact with them? So it takes out, that huge questionnaire of, what that person's in for. Exactly what to start getting down to when you're meeting with them.
Now, when we use these analytics and personas for segmented email, how does an agent actually do that?
So what they're looking for are these pain points and these pieces that we've drug out of the target from them, and we're creating a very personal message to them. So maximizing your Social Security, we could draw upon, hey, the law just changed at the end of 2015, or like give a really specific message. Almost I know what your pain point is. Now I'm going to give you a very, very distinct piece that shows that I know what I'm talking about, and then kind of move forward from that. So it also gives opportunities, that maybe, once we start developing those personas and we're talking to someone about their 401k, but we see that they're 45 and we start, dressing up those personas, be like, they might be interested in a life insurance product or a cross-selling opportunity. So that's some cool pieces that we can draw out of these personas. So if if that 55 to 65 person who's looking at Social Security benefits or what they can get out of that, then well, of course, retirement income is just natural progression for that. So you can start scripting out those tracks, for that you would run on with those, and then you can try stuff and you can try a few different strategies with that, see if it works. Maybe you'll find out that 401k person isn't interested in life insurance, not do it anymore. So that's what we mean by when we're talking about this.
I see another point here that we're talking about in these marketing trends. You talk about easing user fears with right touching. What does that mean?
Yeah, right touching is kind of a funny saying. You have to be careful when you say that around the office. But essentially, it's it's the right message to the right user at the right time. So it's drawing upon those pain points. So if we're targeting a specific demographic, it's bringing out that pain point. So if it's a legacy plan, draw to the grandkids or something like that. So it's the messaging is welcomed and it's correct. It's not like obtrusive or anything like that. So we don't want to get to a point where we're touching them too many times on that. That might we also have to be very careful with that. And so the right amount of touching, the right amount to those pain points, and then we, kind of take back and let the user go from there.
Well, I like this next one. Social media marketing is now for everyone. Boy, it just is.
It really is, Steve. Boomers and seniors are on Facebook. They're on YouTube. They're watching videos. In my presentations, I always talk about how boomers and seniors are the second highest, demographic on YouTube. Yikes! Behind toddlers, 2 to 6, they're watching the most videos on YouTube. So it's definitely Facebook and YouTube, which are also the top 2 highest video mediums, are definitely a great place for advisors and insurance professionals to advertise. It's also a nice place to build some also like sub pieces to your brand through digital through those social media pieces as well. So it kind of just helps widen you out, makes you better find easier to find on the internet.
Leveraging user segments with Facebook native advertising. Now that's a little bit of media speak for us, but explain that.
Yeah, native advertising is actually just I'm looking through my feed and it says sponsored post. So it's not like the ads on the right hand side. It's I'm going through my feed, I'm seeing pictures of the grandkids, I'm looking, and then there's an advertisement that says 10 ways to maximize your Social Security, or retirement income strategies that you might be able to do. So it's ads that are in your native ad feed. Now, what we can do is we can target those ads to a specific group. So there's 180 different ways that we can target in Facebook. So we can target to ages, we can target to zip codes, and we can go from there, target that native advertising message to them to make sure we're hitting the right audience with the right message in their native feed. And most of the time, you scan past them, but every now and then, if it's a good message, it'll hit them, and they'll definitely see that. So, and it then leverages into a content marketing strategy. So then we're talking white papers or video segments or those kind of pieces where we really get into some deep thought leadership pieces for insurance professionals and financial advisors.
Here's a really good one, I think, for most of us that are in financial services. We want to learn what campaigns are working with touchpoint attribution.
Definitely. There's a lot more, to these strategies, and being able to identify where those leads came from or where those clicks happen from is huge. We definitely need to know, because we're spending money on this. Facebook budget can be $5 to $10 a day, and if you're getting leads from that, where exactly are those leads coming from? So we can, use tracking code on those links. You click on it, and then it comes up in the reporting where those links came from or where those clicks came from. So making sure that we have those pieces in place when we start the strategies, and make sure that they're trackable to report to an agent or advisor is very important to us.
Well, my favorite, using video on YouTube and beyond. Well, what's beyond?
Well, what's beyond is Facebook, and YouTube has a nice advertising platform, but Facebook's is even more robust. We're talking the native ad segments, so the videos autoplay. I'm going through my Facebook feed and the video starts. So we're doing lots of fun stuff with having closed caption over it, because I don't really have the sound on my phone all the time, especially if I'm at work or if I'm on my lunch break. I'm not, the sound isn't on my phone. Those videos autoplay. Well, now I can just read along with it. And if we have the right message and we've segmented a 15, 30-second clip, and we're talking about something important and they're reading about it, they're going to click on it to watch the whole video, put their headphones in, or turn it on to their phone. So that's where it is. We know that people love video. So that's, it's greatly important for us, to produce a professional video quality for prospective clients out there. And with that, video is 20% of the internet's market. So it's definitely, going again where we say the fish are in fishing.
Well, improving your website with SEO and SEM benchmarking. SEO, SEM?
Yeah, search engine marketing or search engine optimization. It's been a huge topic for about 8 years. There's been a lot of up and downs with search engine optimization. It can come off as snake oil sometimes. We had huge rollouts of Panda and Penguin about 4 or 5 years ago. So there are certain pieces, and you have to be very careful and use best practices when going into this. But, if agents have questions or, we just simply do an audit. It takes us about 3 hours total collectively, and we'll go through there and we'll read the content. We'll look at the keyword density, and we'll look at that and report that back and be like, you should work on this, or we need to tone this down and provide that message. We'll also look at bounce rates, essentially what Google's looking at is how much time are people spending on the site. I got to your page because of this reason. Am I staying there? And that and so being able to give that to an agent and being like, here's your strategies, here's your keyword groups is important in this sector.
You talk about exploiting your technology vendors. I'm not sure I understand that, Clifford.
Yeah, there's actually two parts here. So your vendors could be anything from claiming your local SEO assets. So Creative One actually has a nice vendor product that we use that we exploit a lot. And it's, just going out there and going to, there's over 300 different places out there to claim for a brick and mortar business that they need to, be on their pages. Okay. So we have a service that will, exploit those pieces. So it's just a spreadsheet. We take it and we blast it out. So Google Local is using all of those vendors to kind of like prepare their algorithm, so when you're on your phone and you type in whatever, they come up. Essentially what we want is I typed in financial advisors in Kansas City or wherever I'm at, and that dot comes up and it's me, and it's got the right information. It's got my business hours and those pieces. So that's one way we exploit. The other way is it time to think about marketing automation? I'm doing lead gen. Where are those leads going? Are they going to someone who's qualified to work them, or are they going to a secretary where you're just saying, hey, follow up with an email? We've got lots of different strategies. We'll use technology to be like, this email came in for Social Security. Here's a 10 email series over the next month that's going to just be automated to that user. So that's kind of exploiting it, making, giving them lots of nice calls to actions like come and visit me or watch my video so we can build business intelligence, but also automating that whole process because we know that getting 4, 5, 6, 7 phone calls sometimes is just impossible in the day-to-day business of an insurance professional or financial advisor.
In our last of the 11, customer engagement and maintaining a relationship.
Yeah, an agent has to stay engaged with their client, or with their prospective clients and their clients. So, social media, the internet, their website are great pieces for that. We use email for client invites or relationship building events. We also can use blog posts to kind of like establish ourselves as a thought leader. And then social media posts to then push to those blog posts. So it's kind of like an ecosystem when you get down to it, but definitely getting to, staying engaged with those people and keeping those relationships moving.
Well, could you just summarize a bit and conclude basically these 11 emerging marketing trends?
Yeah, these trends, vary from email to social media from that. But what we do every day, and my team does, there's 6 of us, and then we use your services as well, is Creative One offers using those personas and those segments that we talked about at the beginning. We'll use those in lead generation strategies. So we'll say what type of person you want to see through your front door. We'll create a content piece or a white paper or a video series for that, create the ad series. So we've got ad to landing page to content to lead generation strategy. When we talk about nurturing and right touching in the middle, we'll use strategies from our social media elite series. So that's blog posts, social media, and email. So emails are, broadcasting our content that we post on our blog, social media to that. And what we're kind of creating is a brand traffic to our site. Google loves that. They love the organic traffic to your site that they're not doing. And then they kind of like, kind of raises a flag for them and says, what are we missing here? And then you improve organically over time. The last one that we talked about was claiming your SEO local pieces. There's 300 pieces out there. It's very complex. We have a very low cost strategy that we give, we give agents a spreadsheet, or we'll do it over the phone with them. And it takes all 300 of those assets. We claim them for you, and then we track them and we audit them and make sure that they stay on pace. And then we're also tracking to see how you're improving in those organic sections that you've now claimed. So financial advisor in Kansas City, or whatever those keyword sets are, we can, track it and watch you move up in the rankings, hopefully. I'm Clifford Blodgett, Director of Digital Marketing and Lead Generation at Creative One.
And I'm Steve Savan, National Marketing Spokesman, and you've been listening to the 11 Emerging Digital Marketing Trends for Financial Services.